Hey, you're watching Half Asian Tarot Queen. I'm Elisa, here to do a reading. I'm going to start with the Shaman's Dream Oracle. I think this is going to be a reading for the month of March. This is the intention that I'm going to set for it. February was like, we got a lot of bang for our buck for February. But yeah, I was talking about in the reading, the last 3 readings that I did for February was like, there was a time for this, a time for that, and a time for that. So it was like, it was time, clearly time. And there was a whole thing about the reading for the month was change your story, change your life. And then it just like really ended with a bang where it was like, time to clean up the mess. Like that was one of them. And then, what was the other one? There was a time for cleaning up the mess. There was a time for, cutting the cord and raising your vibration. And then there was a time for like justice for Fredo. Like it was a whole Godfather reference, with the whole breakdown of the relationship of the brothers because of karma. So there was like these 3 sort of elements where this sort of climax happened, and it like really spoke to this just profound reckoning and change that was happening. So it was kind of like, it was almost like 3 sides of the triangle. Like there was this justice side, there was this, protecting your boundaries side, like raising your vibration. And then there was just a time for the overall situation of just like cleaning up the mess, And so, yeah, it's really interesting that we ended with this triangle. So anyway, so for March, we're going to, we're just gonna, okay. All right. So at the bottom, we got a perfect storm, which it's interesting because there's this crow, which kind of represents like truth coming out, there's this lightning, like, and then we have the courage to step into life. And then we have a tidy house, clarity and organization. So it's really interesting because, like I was just talking about those 3 time readings, and one of them was like clean up the mess, and it was just like, when you look at the reading for the year, it was called an epic reset. And so it's just sort of like, it's almost like all this truth is like come out, and it's just like forced this change. And like, it's like we're just clearing out all this dysfunction to make room for what needs to happen in the rest of the year. And that's kind of what I'm getting. It's just sort of like, that's kind of what the first 2 months were about. And now we're sort of starting to see like what the possibilities are for the rest of the year, this new beginning is starting to emerge, which is interesting because it's springtime, and that seems pretty apropos and everything. So yeah, it's pretty timely. Okay, I'm gonna go to the Angels and Ancestors Oracle, and we'll pick a message from there, and we'll see where this thing goes, because it looks like March is gonna be the beginning of a new and better era. So we got Lord, take charge with authority, and we got Hermit, retreat and recharge. So that's really interesting. Because there's this message of empowerment, which is interesting because we've just like cut all this baggage, like that's what we did in February. And like, that's sort of like empowering us to connect with really what we deserve. But then we also have this Hermit, which retreat and recharge. So it's like, because when you're taking charge with authority, that oftentimes implies action, but this comes out with the Hermit, which is sort of, the self-care mode, which is kind of the opposite of action. So it's really interesting because it's almost like it's counterintuitive, because you often connote like action with taking charge and authority, but in this case it's almost like doing the work of retreating and recharging and healing yourself is what's going to elevate you more than sort of action. It's like it's less an energy of like force and like making things happen, and more an energy of like healing, so that you attract this more empowered situation to yourself, which is really interesting, because it's almost like, it doesn't show that here, but this is this man who's taking charge and authority, but this sort of attraction, authority, it almost implies like a feminine power, even though that's not what's shown here, because it comes out with the Hermit and the retreat and the recharge. So it's a really interesting message that we're getting from the ancestors. It's almost like the female ancestors are like watching over and being like, yeah, you don't have to like, force your will. You just, this is like a kinder, gentler way to sort of lay down the law. There was a reading, and I think I might be out of readings at this point, but there was a reading recently about the new law of the land. If I have readings left, I'll put it up there, but it might be relevant. Okay. So I'm going to the transient light. When I did the split right away, we got the crown, the King of Swords, and we got the Star. So it's almost like, it's like I was just talking about this new law of the land, and it's like this truth is being revealed, and it's like revealing someone. It's almost like announcing the new star, it's just like, it's the new leader has emerged, and it's not even like a coronation thing. It's just like almost like the dust has settled, and like this is, it's not even who everyone thinks, it's just sort of, it's like a surprise, it's sort of like, like they talk about Princess Diana and how she was the people's princess, and even though she was like never really the king, the authority in that way, like she's the one that people still talk about, she's still impacting people's hearts and minds, even years after she's passed away. So it's just sort of like, all this drama has happened in the monarchy, but when the dust settles, the person that emerges in people's memories the most of all of them is Princess Diana, so it's interesting that has come up, because I was just talking about this feminine power, and that's kind of what I'm getting. There's just it's like this person, it's not like they're forcing their will. It is what it is, and they don't have to say or do or force anything. That's just how it is, it's just a given. Okay, so all right, so we got the Revealer at the bottom. So this is like the High Priestess in the normal deck, and it's interesting because what I got from this is just sort of what I was just talking about. It's sort of like written in the stars, this story, whatever this story is that's about to come out. It's like, and it's not because somebody like forced it or tried to make it happen. It's just, it's just the reality of the situation is being revealed to us in March. So it might not be what we were expecting or what we were trying to make happen, but it's being revealed to us. So we have the 10 of coins, we have the crown of coins, and we have the past. So this is really interesting. Well, for one thing, it has this DNA really here, which speaks to this generational element, which is interesting because I've been talking about generational curses and healing those, and you know, I was just talking about how something like, it just is what it is. It's like written in the stars. It's almost like this destiny. And so it's like we have this King of Pentacles and we have this 10 of coins. So it's just like someone is really empowered and abundant, and it's almost like it was written in the stars, like it was their destiny to step into this. Like there was a reading, and I think I'm out of readings, but from a while ago, and it was called Legend of the Sword, and it was all about the whole King Arthur story, and the movie with Jude Law, and that was the whole thing. Like, you know, Arthur wasn't really trying to become the king, but it was his destiny. So no matter what he did or where he went in his life, even though he wasn't really seeking out the king, being the king, and he didn't even know that was his birthright, his destiny just brought him to that confrontation, and that was, it just was what it was. Like, he just was the king. Like, he had the character. He had this sort of patterning built into his psyche, even though he didn't even know why, you know. And I'm kind of getting that. So that reading, I think, might be super relevant. It's sort of like you inherit these generational patterns. Oh my gosh, when I pulled out the shadow at the bottom of the deck, we have the 10 of Pentacles again. So it's like, yeah, it's almost like this person has this birthright that was maybe somebody tried to deny, or people tried to deny and stop them. You know, like his uncle tried to steal the crown from him, but in the end, like, it just was what it was. Like, his uncle wasn't destined to be king, and so it didn't hold, you know. And so that's the kind of energy that I'm getting here. There's this perfect storm that's happening, and it's going to reveal this truth, and it's just going to be what it is, and it's going to sort of clean up this mess and allow things to move forward in a more functional way. And there's going to be an acceptance of, like, the truth of this situation, that there apparently has been like a lot of dysfunction and blockage that's like tried to stop it from happening. But it's like, nope, the truth is going to be revealed in this perfect storm in the month of March. So this is like, whoa, it looks like a super climactic. Okay, so we have the bottom, we have the 4 of Pentacles. So there's this energy of sort of like, this is the shadow element, this energy of like hoarding and like trying to hold on to what you have, and like kind of not allowing things to flow or move forward. So it's like, I'm kind of getting from that, it's like somebody is trying to block this truth from being revealed because it's not in their best interest. And that's sort of like this underlying situation. However, we have the mystic. So that's the Hierophant. We have Temperance. And we have the Five of Cups. So yeah, it's like destiny, karma, like karmic law, like God is laying down the law, you know, like it just is what it is. Karma is gonna happen and bring things into balance. And so there's gonna be some cups spilled over this because there's somebody who's really trying to hang on to what outcome that they want it to be. But ultimately, it's like if you get in the way of destiny, you're gonna get pushed out the way, and then things are gonna get moved forward based on the truth, and moving towards positivity. So it's like, wow, this is a really interesting reading. It's just like this person is like, it's like the cream always rises, to the top, and that's like kind of like what's happening. It's just like there's been all this interference and people like trying to almost like steal this destiny for themselves, but like it's like almost like this storm is going to happen, just like going to push all of that out of the way and like create this crazy like drama. But when the dust settles from that, people are just going to understand that this is just how it is, and that's just plain and simple. It's just like after all these years and like all this drama and like all this fighting with Camilla and whatnot and trying to like rewrite history and make it look like this or that thing, it's like you can't really change that everyone still loves Diana, and that's just the way it is, and that's the way it's always going to be. And it doesn't matter how much the press tries to make it this or that thing. She's the queen of everyone. She's the queen of everyone's heart, and that just is, it is what it is. And so it's going to be something akin to that that's going to be revealed. This is really an interesting story. So, okay, I'm going to the Oracle of 7 Energies, and we'll see what comes out. Okay. Wow. So we got the power of purpose and healing the heart at the bottom. So it's really, really interesting because it's like when you come into alignment with it, they talk about your dharma, what your purpose is, or what you were put on the earth to do. When you come into alignment with that, like it's like there's no force in the world that can stop you from your destiny, and people might try to interfere with it or get in the way, or but if that's your purpose and you're in alignment with it, that's a really powerful alignment, because you have all this help, that's gonna make it happen. And so we got healing in the heart underneath this. Oh, and underneath that is waking the lion. So it's just like what I'm getting is, it's almost like this person has been trying to fulfill their purpose, but there's been all this interference, which has been heartbreaking for that person because it's been an unjust and unfair situation. That is being healed and being made right. So it's kind of like, the reason why everybody loves Princess Diana is because she, despite all the drama and stuff that was going on in her life, she made her life about something bigger than herself. like she was of service, you know, and she cared about other people. And that's why everyone loved her, you know, because she became something big, part of something. She became part of something that was bigger than herself. And that's really powerful. Like, that's what made her rise above all the drama of the royals and all this stuff that happens, you know. And that's why people still remember her. And so it's kind of something like this. It's like, when you come into alignment with what you were put on the earth to do, then anything earthly, like greed or selfishness or ego or whatever motivations cause people to sort of get in your way, like, it's more powerful, like it trumps all of that, you know. And so like that's getting pushed out of the way because this person has a higher purpose to serve in the world. And that's that. It just is what it is. So it'll be interesting to see like what gets uncovered in this month of March, because it looks pretty climactic, but it also looks like it's really going to open some doors for this new way forward from here. So stay tuned.